Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I am Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing The Queen of Black Magic, coming to Shudder. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, with me tonight, of course, is my co-host Jeff Mohr. Say hello, Jeff Mohr.
Hello, Jeff Mohr.
Thank you, sir.
Oh boy.
Joining us
boy.
tonight is Crystal Cleveland. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I am super excited to talk about this great, fantastic movie.
Dave Dreher is also here.
Hello. I too am looking forward to talking about this wonderfully subtitled film.
Oh yeah.
It is subtitled week. Yes, The Queen of Black Magic. Oh yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the film. We're going to give our first impressions, then we're going to chat it up a bit, and then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. 1 to 5. You like that? And we are talking about The Queen of Black Magic coming to Shudder.
Oh, look at these names will be fun to listen to Doc do. Everybody listen.
Oh yeah.
Come on,
yeah.
listen. This is going to be fun.
Oh, you're doing it to me, aren't you? All right. It's available on Shudder January 28, 2021. It originally came out in November of 2019 in its origin country. The director is Kimo Stamboel. The writer is Joko Anwar. The cast includes Ario, Bayu, Rashid, and Adhisty, Zara, among others.
Okay, that's actually better, I think, than you normally do.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, what on earth?
That's not fair.
It is a remake of The Queen of Black Magic from 1981. The synopsis goes: families terrorized at an orphanage. Someone wants them dead. Apparently, with black magic that is very deadly. That makes sense. Oh my god. She has a grudge. She is also born because of the sins of the orphans who performed her into the Queen of Black Magic. You know, that synopsis makes absolutely no sense, but we're going to go with it. We are going to go with it. Yes, there's a lot to talk about with this film, and we're going to let Jeff spiel a lot about that. So we're going to start with Jeff tonight. Jeff Mohr, what is your first impression of The Queen of Black Magic?
All right. At the risk of, I'm setting up a possible conflict here. I like this a lot.
You like it a lot.
Interesting.
I like these guys, Kimo Stamboel, Joko Anwar, and then the other one, Timo Gianto. They were all kind of together, and they kind of seem to be running around each other and doing similar type things. And anyway, I like this a lot. And again, this remake, I went back and watched the original movie because I found it on YouTube, and it's quite a bit different, but some of the same things happen, like some of the same gags. I think one of the things I like, it seems to be a trait of these guys, is they use handheld cameras a lot. So a lot of times the viewpoints moving throughout the scene, you know, in the different points into the room. I really like the acting, especially Hana al-Rashid as the Nadja, who was the mother. I think she kind of stood out for me. I thought there was a kind of a cool combination of CGI and practical effects. And the fact that there's, like, not counting Mr. Bandy and Murney, there's like 13 characters in this orphanage, and I was able to keep them all straight. So I thought they did a good job of laying out these, that they all had a little bit different personality. We don't go deep into the personalities, but we do get some backstory on some of them. So anyway, I enjoyed it. The craziness, I felt like the craziness starts ramping up, and it just keeps on going. The middle third is nuts all by itself, but the last 15 minutes is bonkers.
Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. All right, Dave Dreher, sir, you are up next. What was your first impression of The Queen of Black Magic?
Well, for me, this one had some pretty big strikes against it going in. Foreign film, subtitles, Not my cup of tea.
You're winning fans off the rep.
And I'm going to be honest here because I'm always honest with everybody. I actually kind of fell asleep at the beginning of this one. I woke up. But I woke up during the final reel because of the screams of torture. I'm like, what the fuck? And so I had to rewound it back and I watched it again. And that last third is some seriously disturbing shit. There is some really messed up stuff going on there. I hate to say I liked it but it certainly piqued my interest at that point. And there are some really interesting effects, some better than others. But yeah, my first impression was I ended up liking it more than I thought I would. That's my first impression.
Yeah. That's fine. All right, Crystal Cleveland, you are up next. What is your first impression of the Queen of Black Magic?
Meh.
So,
let me just say this first and foremost. This movie is entirely too dependent on bad CGI. Like, it threw me out every single time. Like, pretty much 90% of everything that they did was CGI. So it bothers me that was the case. The story is a little weak. There's some points where it doesn't make sense at all. And then I don't know if there's something lost in translation, but one of the girls said, "You knew this was happening." And it seemed apparent to me that he didn't know something was happening. So maybe there is some translation errors there, but it made the story a little bit convoluted and confusing to me. And at the moment where it becomes what I call it, like a big madhouse. So there's a couple things that I find very trite in horror movies, and it is one, when they hurt little innocent children, and two, when they kill animals. And when they hurt kids, it's like, to me, that's just the easy way out, and it's very depressing to me. And I think there's other ways of conveying horror than to practically, just use a child for fear. I think that's really turns me off at that point. So, yeah. And then while I did like all of the acting, I could not stand that woman screaming anymore. Like, I almost turned the movie off because I was so tired of her calling for everyone. It's like, over and over and over. And I was like,
that's what woke me up. That.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Oh, and another thing that I can't stand anymore in horror movies, because it legitimately hurts me, is like those high pitched sounds. Mm-hmm. I like that. Actually, my ears are really good, and it actually legitimately hurts my ears and stuff. So I'm kind of over that too. I think a lot of people are going to like this. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but it was so crazy. It was so, yeah, I guess. But the CGI was obvious, even when they were getting bathed with the hot water, which is kind of interesting that they brought it all back around and everything. I was like, meh. And I mean, how ridiculous is the ending? Like the villain is ridiculous. For one, she doesn't come off as evil. I mean, give me that role and holy moly, I swear to God, people will be freaking so scared. But she loses her head, and then they give her time. It's a spoiler. It's a spoiler, sorry, but it's ridiculous. She loses her head, and they give her time to walk her headless body over there, pick it up, and put it back on. No. Sorry.
Oh, you just pooped on my favorite scene.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry, Crystal.
Yeah.
All right, so,
I was just like, I wanted to.
I'm going to confess, I kind of like this too. I will admit, to much like Dave, the beginning of this film does wear you a little thin. It's a little hard to follow. There's a lot of characters getting introduced, and you're trying to keep up with all this world building that they're doing, which is really not that much. It's just so many characters. But I eventually caught up with it, and I started really liking it once they discovered that it wasn't the deer. We'll just put it that way. And then things start, they find a bus. Then there was like, hey, there's a Santos Ellen Jr. scene for you right there, folks. And I thought that was just, kind of the opposite of what Crystal said, because I was like, that's creepy.
See, that one didn't bother me. It's when the little boy was in the kitchen with the gun.
Okay, yeah, with
yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh.
After the staple scene.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some questionable CGI, but it didn't bother me. I wasn't really, I wasn't in love with the film for much of it, but the third act, by the time the third act comes around and they're all in the house again, I don't know, and you call it like a madhouse scene. It was
like a madhouse.
I was actually disturbed at that point. I was
really,
it really got. I mean, it wasn't.
It takes a lot to disturb me.
I mean, it was like I was like, this is intense. I'm actually kind of freaking out. Was it scary? No, not really. It's just the whole onslaught of all the audible sensations and the visual, just beating you up.
Think about this. Did it feel like a haunted house when you go through a haunted house and you hear all that?
Yep.
Sorry, that just struck me.
No,
yep.
it very much, and I think that kind of like got me a little bit. But when they're actually finally battling the big bad, I loved that scene. That was so. I loved all the bad fingers bending backwards CGI. It was all great. So I mean, technically I enjoyed this movie. I'm
glad y'all did. I'm sad I didn't.
Well, good. We'll jump on that. I mean, because I love the headless bit, and you did.
So ridiculous looking, and I'm like, aren't you guys gonna do anything? I mean, you're just gonna watch her. You're just. I can't stand stupidity in horror movies. I'm so over that. Okay, if it makes sense and there's a reason that they couldn't get to her, that they couldn't stop her, but she's been there a hot minute, and you know what she's about, and you know what's going on, and yet you're just like, oh, go get your head. Would you like for me to toss you your head? Would you like for me to hand it to you? Here you go, madame.
You could be kicking that thing around like a soccer ball. Keep that thing away.
What on earth?
It almost was tossed to the boy. That was funny. He was like, back away from it.
Well, let's be honest. The boy is the real BA here. He was the real MVP, which I appreciated that because he was pretty beast.
Mm-hmm.
The boy is probably when I really started liking this, to be honest with you. I mean, I started getting interested when they went back to the spot where they thought they hit the deer. But when they started telling the boy about the stories and he was really getting into it.
I did enjoy that. Then the video, it reminded me of The Ring.
The video, when they're up against the door and she's like telling the story. And when she does, she goes, boom, hits the door. She's banging her head against the door, boom, and freak him out. I don't know. To me, that kind of represent the essence of this movie, that storytelling there, because the actual it is kind of like that story just visualized, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, nobody is spared. Nobody is spared. Oh.
So what did y'all like?
Well, I have a question. For Dave, I feel like I'm lost here because I thought that some of the wounds and things were practical effects, but it sounds like you guys are saying everything was.
But nine.
It didn't bother me that the bugs
CGI.
and the rain were CGI. That didn't bother me. And when the woman, what's her name, Lena, is standing in front of the mirror, with the knife. The stuff that she did there, I thought that worked because we were seeing what she saw.
Yes, I like that.
Which
too.
was
I did like
by
that
definition
scene.
unrealistic.
I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't mind that. I just think that it was so much CGI. It was a lot.
Yeah, anytime there's the bugs, or the centipedes and stuff. It was very
the kids in the bus, her hitting her head. I'm not kidding you. Like most of it was CGI. There was very little practical. There was some practical, mainly the blood. But
I don't know why it didn't hit me that way like it usually does, and I don't know.
Really?
Maybe I'm just.
That's interesting.
Was
Because Sean was walking by me when I was watching it, and he goes, "God, that's bad CGI." It was like when she was holding those caterpillars. I was like, I know, right? Isn't it horrible? And see, that's what I guess that's why I had a hard time. Look, practical is best. We all know this. We all love it. Sometimes CGI, I'm totally cool with CGI. I think it can accentuate a movie. Sometimes that's all you could do, and it's all you can afford. But I almost wish they had done less of that and just relied on maybe the idea of some of it. And I think it would have been spookier to me.
Could have been, yeah.
And I think even changing the end to not be so, I didn't mind the haunted house rooms, the madhouse. I did see how that could be kind of cool. But they could have done different things where they also didn't have to use CGI. Like the hot water and then their skin melting was the CGI. I mean, it's just like everything. I think some things are just better left to the imagination. And I think I would have felt the whole vibe would have been much spookier had they just played it softer without so much. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know where this movie came from. I don't know what they're used to there. This may be what they really enjoy.
Well, it does have to live up to the Queen of Black Magic, which is, you were saying on a pre-show that it's also related to the Black Magic 2, or at least it says in the tradition of, right? So it's all that vomiting of bugs and stuff and the centipedes
and beheading and
so they had a lot to live up to for those that enjoy that first film. I've never seen it. I want to see it. Did you get to see the original, Jeff? I
did. It's similar but different story. There's no orphanage, but
oh really?
No,
that's a huge part of this one.
It's a guy who gets a woman to lose her virginity by promising he's going to marry her, and then he goes off and marries the village chieftain's daughter, and then he thinks that she's a witch and did black magic, so his buddies all go back and throw her off a cliff, and some old kook catches her at the bottom of the cliff and teaches her to be the black magic queen.
There you go.
Then you go
that old chestnut.
Yeah.
That's...
The old coot.
Yeah. Well, Dave, you're awful quiet. Jump in on this debate about the special effects. Where did you, when you finally woke up and watched it, were you impressed by the special effects, or are you like in Crystal's camp where?
No, I'm definitely in Crystal's camp with this. I mean, I like the idea of some of the gags that they were going to do. If they could have found a way to do them practically, or like Crystal said, perhaps just insinuated them and let our mind do them. I think this would have been a much better read than it is a watch, for me at least. Because, like you said, all you ended up with was a bunch of screeching and borderline Sci-Fi Channel special effects.
No!
It's true. It's true.
So it just doesn't hold up. I mean, but when, you're the title of this is Queen of Black Magic, and she would have been a formidable big bad, but they just didn't. They relied on the gags and they didn't develop her, because she could have been like super evil. I mean, she really could have been. She could have been scary fucking evil, but she's not. She's just the catalyst for the bad effects. So, and then leading up to all that, all we got is a bunch of drivel, storyline that ultimately doesn't really play into it too much, really, other than allowing them all to end up at the same place at the same time.
Do you
also, I'm confused. The guy, the jerky pedophile, right? How did he have a scythe in him and they pulled it out and then somehow he's alive? Did y'all realize that?
Yeah.
What on earth what was that about?
Well, it was like he was stabbed in the upper chest over here.
Yeah. So he was not dead. Okay. Because he looked like he was dead.
He was not dead.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was confused. I got confused.
He jolted awake.
Oh, okay. Well, I
eye
wasn't
hole.
sure if his body was just moving because pulling
But-
a scythe out of someone isn't easy. I'm sure.
He does have a
I'm
creepy
sure.
bed scene when he's looking at that girl at the foot of the bed.
Ugh.
He's like, "Damn boy, you got a death stare on you, son."
I will say the way that they handled that was great because it was obvious what was going on, but it wasn't obvious. They did make sure you you understood what was happening without having to go any further than that. So I do appreciate that. I think that that's far enough to let you know what a piece of poop he is. So that was nice.
Yeah.
What a piece of poop.
He was a royal turd. Jeff, are we missing anything lost in translation? You think? You think there's stuff in here that we're just not getting stateside?
No, I thought I got it. Everything. What didn't we get? I'm sitting here thinking maybe I need to. I wish this pandemic would hurry up because I think I need eye surgery. I'm not kidding. I watched that thing. I watched it twice, and I never once went, "Oh, this CGI is really putting me off." It just never happened.
Well, you're kind, Jeff. You're a kind soul.
I will say the only time it only bothered me with the insects. That's the only time it bothered me. But at the same time, I didn't care. They weren't that big a deal. So I thought that the neck flap and some of the other things were the staples were really good. And I'd love the beheading, but that was to be there. There is something with that these other films kind of make that a necessity. But
right.
Yeah.
And as with the when the woman leaps up on the car out of nowhere, that's a common thing from the early '80s in these Asian films. They
like when she
levitate and leap.
I like it when she floats across the field.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Let's get our final thoughts.
That was some serious floating you were just doing there, Doc.
All week.
I never knew.
That's good stuff.
We're going to give our final thoughts, or score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. But before we do, if you're still with us, 1, thank you. 2, it's really easy to help us spread the word. Share is one way. Hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the like button. Smash that bell if you want to be notified.
Smash that like button like it owes you money.
Yes. Oh, wow. That hurts.
Yeah.
And love to hear some comments. If we are missing something that the first film is kind of,
no, tons of people are going to like this. They're going to hate me for not liking it.
They won't.
I'm sorry.
No. Some people are going to say exactly what you said. They're going to go.
Oh man! We also want to take a moment to thank our patrons.
Oh wow, it's all fresh.
Yeah, I redid it. Got the new names in there.
An ever-growing list.
Yes. But we want to thank each and every one of you. Without your help, we wouldn't be able to do Grizzly Magazine, H&R, Decades of Horror, Heroes and Droids, and all the special things. This week we did our first hot take video for the Godzilla versus Kong trailer. So we encourage you to check that out. And if you like what you're seeing there, let us know so we'll know to do more of those. If you don't like it, let us know so we won't do more of those. But yeah, without your help, we wouldn't be able to do those. So thank you all so much. Yep. All right, let's do this. Our final thoughts, our score, and our favorite scene. And Jeff Mohr, you're up first, bud.
Well, I think this fits well into what these folks have done before. Joko Anwar apparently likes to do these remakes. Satan's Slaves was a remake of an early 80s Asian film as well. I enjoyed the hell out of this. I'm giving this a 4.
A 4! Nice. I like it.
Ding, 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 ding.
I like it.
Great.
My lack of being able to be critical of CGI. And my favorite scene, I'm going to take the one I talked about already with the Lena in the mirror. And the way they
yeah,
showed
that's a
it
good one.
from the front, and then they show it from the back, like after I forget exactly how they did that, but then when you finally see the reality of it,
Yes. And then the other guy comes in.
yeah,
The great reaction.
yeah, and it just that's really kind of the I think maybe the bus is where it really starts to ramp up. Although there's some stuff before that gives you hints, but anyway, that's mine.
There you go.
Since I get to go first.
Yeah.
Yay!
Hey.
Dave Dreher, you're up next, sir. What's your final thought? Your score and favorite scene?
Well, obviously, you know, this film is not in my wheelhouse whatsoever. Not a big fan of the whole J horror or K horror or whatever this was. I'm not sure what the nationality we had going on here. But you know, I mean, it's kind of standard fare for that type of film. If you like those type of films, you're going to like this. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 2.5, which is kind of high for me for one of these type of films. And favorite scene, I'm going to go with the stapling scene only because I just find that particularly disturbing. The effect don't look that great, but there's just something really, for me at least, horrifying, creepy about having that done to you. That would suck.
Or doing it to yourself.
Or doing it to yourself, having it done to you. So I'm going to go with that one.
I like that. All right, just so we clarify, so we don't look, you know, none of us knew, but it's Indonesian, the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Crystal, you are up next. Of course, you're up next, Crystal. What's your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene?
Okay, so.
All right, thank you. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wait, this is hot.
That's the look.
This is hot off her first 5 too, right?
I know.
She had her first 5.
I looked crazy there. I didn't mean to. But okay, so yeah, I think you should. It's on Shudder, so you definitely should watch it. I think a lot of people are gonna like it. I think a lot of you, after you listen to this and you see how much I didn't like it, that you'll probably like it more because your expectations will be so low. So I probably helped the movie here. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm also going to give it a 2.5 because there's definitely some things I found fun and I kind of enjoyed about it. And I think that, honestly, I think it had a lot of potential. And sometimes less is more. And so I think if they had kind of used that, I think it would have been really successful, honestly. My favorite scene, you know, there's a couple scenes that I did really enjoy. I liked when the centipedes fell from the ceiling onto the bed to the girl, because that just creeps me out, because I have this big fear that a spider's going to come and land on me in the middle of the night, and that kind of plays right into that.
Crawl in your mouth and lay eggs, and then there's spiders.
Or my ear. Yeah, your ears. Like I sleep like this because I'm a freak. I'm like my pillow and my blankie, and
Nothing's
I'm like
crawling in my mouth or my ear.
Yeah, what they say, you're never more than 5 feet away from a spider. So.
Yeah, so like never more than 3 feet away from 5 spiders. It's something like that. You're never more than 3 feet away from 5 spiders, I think is what it is. Something like that.
Are you kidding?
No.
Look, see that right behind you?
I'm serious. I don't like it. Spiders. That's my thing.
That's your thing. All right. I'm sorry. I kid. I kid you, Crystal. I'm giving you a hard time. But okay. So I enjoyed this. I understand what you guys are saying about, you know, if it was a little bit more reserved, it would. But that's not the kind of movies these guys make. So there would be an expectation that wouldn't work. So I get it. I enjoyed it. I liked that there was a lot of victims to take down. You know, there was plenty of heads to roll.
Plenty of choices.
There is a twist. It's a silly twist, but there is a twist, and I dug that. I really enjoyed the final confrontation. I know you disliked it, but even the look on her face, like when she wakes, when her eyes open back up, it is so. I don't know. It's kind of cheesy, charmy the way I thought it, and but I get it. It was a riot. Now I will confess that when she's going through, and I think I already said this, but when she's going through the house and everybody's screaming, that I don't know. Maybe it's just the sound of it really had me on edge. It was unending, right? It was just like as soon as the screaming started, it was like room to room to room. It was all the same screaming, and it just felt horrifying and intense. And all these really creepy, ugly things were happening to everybody in every room she looked in, right? So it was like 100, like you said, like 100 now. I'm going to give it a 3.5. 3.5. I was going to do 3.25, but I'm going to go 3.5. Yeah. And my favorite scene, I'm not going to choose the head scene because I'm not. I'm going to choose a scene.
Because I ruined it.
You did. I'm going to choose a scene that we haven't talked about. And it involves the young boy, who was my favorite character in the movie. And he's watching the tape. And in the tape, it has, the lady that everybody's afraid of. And she's got this, like, wickedly creepy leg because of some accident and stuff that never set right. So she's walking down the hall. And you see her walking in the hall behind him, right? And then it just does this James Wan-y kind of thing where he looks back and the camera looks back and it gets you on edge. And then she's, spoilers, behind the TV, just standing there going, I love that. That just clicks off all the bells for me. And he poops his pants and runs. And I love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you didn't like that scene. Oh my God.
Well, okay. Why couldn't they have just made it her instead of this CGI character again? I'm just saying.
I think that's the twist. That was the twist. But anyway, yeah. What's behind the green door? But that's a different movie.
It definitely is a different movie.
And scary for a whole different reason.
Yeah.
There is a green door. It's never open. Big plot point.
But I'm back on top again. I got the high score, so I like that.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you were looking forward to this because of the director and the writer.
Yeah, I'm predisposed, I think. So.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our review of The Queen of Black Magic. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear what people think of this.
Oh, I know.
Crystal, Dave, I'm so glad you're back. Dave.
Yay, I know, yeah.
Yes.
I'm here, I'm not here, I'm back, I leave, I'm back, I
go. But thank you for joining me. All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.